Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'm reviewing Past Lives. So Past Lives is a new romantic drama that has just been released by A24. In this movie, we'd see two individuals that were very close as children, and time and their lives have separated them, one staying in Korea, the other coming to America, living two very different lives. And the real crux of this movie is them trying to rekindle their flame and come back together as these two people that really cared about one another as children, but life gets in the way. It does a great job of showcasing kind of the struggle of time when it comes to romance and how some people could just never find the right time and nothing works out perfectly like it does, in the movies. And when it comes to the passage of time in this film, I think they did a fantastic job. This movie has two really big time jumps throughout its runtime, and it never felt stilted. It never felt like it was awkward for them to do that. Because like I said, it takes place with them as children. It jumps 4 years where they first kind of reach back out to one another and grow to care about one another. And then there's another jump of 12 years. So those whole jumps, they worked really well in the film. I was kind of worried when I first saw that title card 12 years later, like, how's this going to play? But it ended up working so well. Greta Lee, who plays our main character, Nora, does a fantastic job. She plays an individual who is chasing her dream and ends up falling into a life maybe she didn't expect, but she really grows to appreciate and kind of cherish. Tae Yu plays our other main character, Hae Sung, and he's living a very different life. He stays in Korea, he has his military service there, and he's kind of living a more professional path. He's able to follow kind of the straight arrow while she's more of a creative and free spirit. So they kind of are the both sides of a different coin. I think their chemistry really pops off the screen, particularly in the third act. There are some really, really hard-hitting moments where you're just really working with their facial expressions or their body language. And while, their chemistry does work from a communication standpoint, I think those scenes in particular were some of the best acted in the movie. And that being said, a bulk of this movie is in Korean. And it feels more authentic that way. It feels authentic to our characters and their understanding of one another. Because one of the other themes that shines through, other than just the romantic themes and the themes of time, is the two different cultures. The culture of America and the culture of Korea, and how those two kind of clash with one another, but then can elevate each other at the same time. There's a scene in particular where Nora is talking about first meeting back up with Hae Sung, and she doesn't really know how to feel because she is Korean herself, but he is so distinctly Korean from a world she left many, many years ago. And it makes her feel, in a way, more and less Korean, which, it's interesting to see that on screen, but when she says it, it makes total sense in the movie. John Mangara plays a supporting character in the film, and I think he actually did a really good job. He only gets a few really strong on-scene moments, but I think he makes the most of those moments, and those were, again, very powerful moments. This movie has a ton of really powerful moments throughout its runtime. But the one thing that I love about it is it knows when to pull back. It isn't an overbearing romance. It's a movie that is very somber at times. It's very touching at times. And it never feels like it's trying to manipulate its audience. That's a big takeaway I took from it when I left the theater, is the movie never really had a bad guy per se. The bad guy is really just time. It's really about the struggle of connecting and being able to find each other at the right moment in this big fabric of time. And the movie talks about that a lot, with different Korean themes of the idea of meeting people over and over again, destiny, and growing with one another throughout different lives, hence the title of the film, Past Lives. And I think that theme works really well, and you really are understanding kind of the concepts of our main characters and how they think, because some of their things that they do may seem strange. In a conventional romance film, you'd think, oh, they might throw away a certain thing or do a certain thing, but they kind of subvert those expectations because of their upbringing. I think the movie had some really great cinematography and use of symbolism in its cinematography. Right in by the first act of the film, there's a moment where our characters are taking two different paths, literally, but as the audience, you can see it, and it's a very figurative moment of her going one direction and him going another. And I think that works throughout the film. They do it multiple times where you're kind of seeing their lives in parallel. There's also some really well blocked off shots that kind of create a focal point of our characters and something moving in the background. I think they did a great job of making it feel very intimate. One thing that really connected with me personally is the idea of this kind of new and exciting young love. When you're meeting with somebody, you're talking to them over a long distance, you talk to them every day, you create this connection with them, and maybe things don't work out and it takes a while for things to finally get going. I think they captured that really well, particularly in kind of the second act of the film, when you see them as kind of young adults and they're really kind of struggling to get to one another. And then the movie kind of takes a complete 360 by the end of the film, and you're seeing them as, grown adults that have established lives and established careers, and kind of the complexities that come along with that, and being able to accept kind of your past and let it go and kind of move forward with who you are. And those were, like I said, I say it again and again, there's some really hard-hitting moments that really are kind of heart-wrenching, but then they're not necessarily sad. The movie has, like I said, a melancholy to it by the end, and I think it works perfectly. It doesn't manipulate the audience. It doesn't make you just cry because, whether somebody died or some really bad thing happens to somebody why you can't be together or something like that. It really is a very human story and a very real story. So if I were to rate Past Lives, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's one of the best films of the year, one of the best romance movies I've seen in a long time. I do think if you go into expecting kind of a conventional romance film, you might be a little disappointed. But if you go into expecting great performances, a real story, a really powerful story, I think you'll definitely love it. So if you check out Past Lives, let me know what you thought about it. Did you like it as much as I did? Did you not like it? I always love to hear everybody's opinions. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. See you guys next time.